How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. So I have 5 minor upgrades that will make a massive improvement on your rifle or your fighting rifle that I don't often see on YouTube. You see it in the military quite a bit. And that's where I'm getting my information from, because I've been in the military for many, many years and saw stuff, and my rifles have these minor things on them that can improve your battlefield effectiveness more. I don't know why YouTube or just folks just don't really talk about it, but we're gonna dive into it. There's 5 of them that I always keep on my rifle. Now we're gonna kind of talk about why, I guess you could say, but diving in to the first one. It is a muzzle cap of some sort, something to cover up the muzzle of your rifle. Now, this isn't gonna affect your accuracy or anything like that. It's meant for barrel obstructions, right? The reality of it is, if you are out running around doing things, you will fall.
Get him, come on!
I guarantee it. In whatever environment you find yourself in, right? Rocks, sand, snow, mud, if it's pouring down rain, you're gonna be moving over terrain, and even in an urban setting, if you just step off a curb wrong and you just run your rifle accidentally, like right into the mulch next to a tree, that's bad, because that could cause a barrel obstruction, which not always is catastrophic, but it can. So to mitigate with that, you can put something over the top of your muzzle, right? This is just a plastic cap. This can be shot off. You don't have to remove this. You can literally just pull this up, boom, it just ejects itself just fine. Now, another option you have too is electrical tape. I saw that used quite a bit throughout my career, and in a pinch, it does work. And I would recommend it. But if you have the time, use the muzzle cap, because you're gonna wrap electrical tape around this. It's gonna blow off there, it's gonna do fine, but it leaves residue on your muzzle, or like the sticky residue. Okay, cool. Not really that big of a deal until you're in a dusty, dirty, rainy, wet environment and moisture and dirt like to collect, which realistically, if you are fighting, isn't that most of the environment that you will find yourself in? So now you have a bunch of debris and dirt to it. Now, up front, it's not gonna matter, but the longevity of it, as in it's gonna rust, it's gonna eventually discolor, and I just hate cleaning it off. Plus, if you fire a lot, it melts to the barrel, and then it's just even more of a pain. But ultimately, if you don't care, just send it, it doesn't matter. But the muzzle cap definitely helps out quite a bit, so I highly recommend that. Next main upgrade that I always keep on rifles is going to be caps, so scope caps. Most people will think, well, obviously, right? But you wouldn't believe how handy they come into, or handy they are for you in an environment like this. Often, you know, as you are patrolling, let's say several days, most people have this Hollywood fantasy of you're gonna be at low ready all the time and you're gonna be scanning. No. Sorry, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna be slung, your weapon's gonna be down in certain environments depending on heightened or lowered, you know, concerns from your squad lead or whoever you are. You're gonna have this thing down. And if you have your rifle down, your lens is pointed, your optical lens is pointed straight up. Debris, rain, snow, that kind of stuff. And if this thing is, say, open, or you don't have one, stuff is just collecting into your optic over time. So then as you go to use it, you're like, oh goodness, there's stuff inside, and then you're gonna be wiping it away. It's gonna take time. It's much easier just to flip this up, like, oh, there's someone, right? Flip it up and it's gone, rather than wiping and then trying to get all that residue off. And I'll even throw some B-roll in there of what it looks like without it. I've been there, done that, didn't enjoy it. Now, same with the front. A lot of people, and I'm 50-50 on the front, but it's funny because most people say, well, I'm never gonna have my rifle really like pointed up. Well, you say that until you lean it up against something, right? Just whatever, you're doing an admin task or you're not on security and you're gonna lean your rifle up against something. Cool, are you gonna put your barrel, again, muzzle down even with the muzzle cap? No, military folks don't do that. They always do buttstock down and up. Now rain and other stuff is collecting into your objective lens. So if you need it and you grab it and pull it up, now you're trying to wipe all that snow, rain, whatever it is, or just leaves or dust and debris out of your objective lens. Especially if you have both, what is the point of you using this if you can't see through it? So, in my opinion, those scope caps are definitely necessary. Next thing is going to be an ARD, or an anti-reflective device. Now this ACOG, and many of them make it, I'll show it to you real quick. I got to unscrew it, of course, but it's underneath, right? It's that honeycomb thing right there. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, this protects you from glint, from, your scope if you're trying to see someone. Yes, it does prevent that. It does help, but it also prevents you as the viewer, right? If you're looking into the sun or close to it or at a weird angle, it kind of makes the light so it doesn't reflect as bad into your optic and make it almost unusable in certain hours of light, right? Towards those ending and early morning, which is stand 2, right? Which is often when the enemy attacks, and they like to attack while the sun's coming up, so the sun's in your eyes. Not getting into details, could happen, could not, but this anti-reflective device is both helping you in both matters, as in someone seeing you and you seeing them. So I highly recommend, if your optic allows it. They are often fairly cheap, I would say, and they do help out a great deal. Next, on your rifle, your sling, right? You need a sling, but I would recommend having quick detach. Now this one just has a buckle. These are polymer, so people argue with them. These are Blue Force Gear Sling, but you can have the metal ones, whichever it is. A quick and easy way to get your sling off of you. This one has 2 attachment points, mainly because if you're in an awkward position and you're trying to use it, you can just unbuckle this, especially when you're rendering medical aid to somebody, like one of your buddies. Typically when they fall on top of it or to the side of it, and you got to get this thing out of the way, and you got to collect the rifle to get it out of there, and then they're laying on the sling, or even the sling gets hung up on something. If you're moving through and you're just trying to pull it through and it's hung up on a chain link fence or something like that, typically if you just unbuckle this and then pull it through, it'll unravel itself, right? You still have your rifle, you still have it in hands, but it can help you a great deal. So I recommend quick detachment points for your sling. Don't use it often, but when you do, it's kind of a really big benefit to have. All right, so lastly, this is kind of an external thing, is a broken shell extraction tool. I don't see these often used, and I haven't often saw them needed, but this is one of those things when a shell is inside the chamber and it tends to rip the back of the casing out. If you can't get this out with this tool, you're done. This rifle's not going to be functional for you. Now this typically works or happens on more machine guns, light machine guns, medium machine guns in the military, 249, 240, that kind of stuff, and they have tools with them. But the typical M4 doesn't have this issue too often, but I have saw it happen, and it was like straight dead in the water. This guy's rifle, like, yeah, we can't do anything with it. Sorry, man, like, bummer. And from then on, I was like, I need this tool. It's fairly inexpensive, and it just goes inside the chamber, right? For folks that don't know, right, goes up inside because your bolt is gonna try to grab a hold of that cartridge, that empty shell casing. But if it rips off the back of the case, it's stuck in there. So you have this tool, I'll give you close-ups too, of this goes up inside of it and then latches onto the front, and then it can pull it out. So this is all you need. Now often people are like, okay, where are you gonna put that? You can put it up inside your pistol grip. Often happens. Magpul makes them. If you have a standard like military one, they make these little rubber seals. You can put it in here and then store stuff inside. That's where I put this, right? Extremely handy. I like it. It just works, especially in that catastrophic moment. Listen, you either need this tool and you have it, or you don't. So those are my several upgrades over many years of experience that I have often or now currently put on my rifle. This is pretty much that clone, a very close clone to my duty rifle. Soon to be doing away with the ACOG and going to the DVO, which that's a whole nother discussion that I'm gonna get into in another video. But right, muzzle cover, scope caps, ARD, removable sling, and then that broken shell extraction tool. Those are my 5 minor but kind of major upgrades I recommend. Now YouTube, before you get too upset, this meets all your guidelines. We're just discussing things. I'm not doing anything, dangerous or whatnot. We are in a controlled environment. I know you were concerned about that. And no, I am not modifying actively my rifle. So it's safety, in essence. I'm making this thing safer, which YouTube should be okay with, right? But yeah, so there's my upgrades that I recommend that you put on to your primary weapon system, because they will help you out a great deal, and I think they're worth it. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, definitely like, subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. We have PayPal, Patreon, and then we have our own web store if you want patches and stuff like that, and stickers, super cool. But other than that, yep, those are my 5 recommendations, and I hope y'all have a great day.